Welcome back. When Christine Smith's 15-year-old daughter took her own life as a result of sexual abuse, she knew she had to speak out. Together with writer-director Jenifer Brosseau, they created the play Beneath the Surface and began a mission to end youth suicide.
Suicides among Indigenous youth, both in urban and reserve communities, are on the rise.
One thing that I was confronting to every reserve we went to was just suicide, 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 and like high rates of suicide. And I'd go to graveyards on these reserves, and the graveyards were filled with young people.
When Christine Smith lost her 15-year-old daughter in Vancouver last December, she decided it was time for action.
What happened was, after Chastity's passing, literally the day, I think 1 or 2 days after, I knew that I didn't want other kids to, or other youth to, have to think that this is the only option. And I knew right away, I said, we have to do something, some sort of play or something to ensure that kids understand. That's what I'm hoping to be able to educate communities as to kind of what to watch out for in youth or anybody who's thinking about committing suicide.
I was too scared to say anything.
I know now, just after my daughter's passing, what the signs were. And, you know, the isolation and the depression and her pulling back from the family and everybody else, kind of not wanting to talk to anybody and staying by herself in her room. She was giving away stuff, and she gave necklaces away to her best friends and her sister.
The play recently toured in northern BC, bringing out community members in the hundreds.
I feel more empowered now to begin speaking out about it and begin that healing process with my family.
Okay, Alana, can you just get on your knees?
Writer-director Jen Brosseau plans to follow up with workshops on the legacy of the residential school experience, bringing together elders and youth to begin a healing process.
I think that this is, you know, the base of this is just a huge identity crisis, you know, and it does, a lot of it does date back to just a major abuse, sexual, physical, emotional, spiritual abuse in the residential school system, and that carried on to my generation. And the reason why addictions are so prevalent in the Aboriginal community, both urban and rural, is because there's so much pain, and it's so much easier to numb your pain with substances because it's hard to feel that. That stuff is hard to feel.
The abuser that abused my daughter went to residential school and is an abuser, was abused in there, and continued to do that in his community.
I wanted to tell them what had happened to me, and how the darkness, and how it was chasing me every night. And how it was giving me endless nightmares of pain.
Chas was originally my brother's daughter. By the time Chas came to me, I decided that I was just going to take her out of foster care completely and just raise her as my own child. She did acting, she did singing, she loved dancing, she loved creating and coloring and all of those things. They showed me what was written on the walls. She wrote on the walls, on 3 sides of the walls. She said, "I know that you don't know, Mom, but I'll tell you now, my mom's second husband had raped me. He didn't just molest me, he raped me when I was 7. And that was the most devastating thing that was the most devastating news as a mom. To know that my daughter had to go through that for 7 years. And that pain, and carry that all by herself. And I'm really glad that she didn't take it to the grave with her, because it helped explain, because had she not done that, I probably would have spent a lot of time blaming myself or my family or the way I raised my children. She had counseling for what she said was sexual abuse, and I think with Chastity, because she's FASD, it's a little bit different. You know, he knew that Chastity had FASD. He knew she had self-esteem issues and that she had other issues that she was wanting to father issues or whatever issue. He knew. So predators like that, they prey on girls like Chastity, unfortunately.
Chastity kept that a secret because I think she was afraid, and I think that, and with a lot of perpetrators for sexual abuse, they do make the victim afraid. They fear them into keeping it quiet by, saying, I'll hurt your... I believe he actually told her that he would hurt her sister, and she wanted to protect her sister.
So, and I think also that we need to have programs set up for victims such as Chastity.
Our opening show sold out. There was over 400 people. We had that at the Britannia Auditorium.
What was I so afraid of? I wanted to tell them what had happened.
I think that a lot of people had no idea what to expect, and when they actually finally saw the play, were kind of just like floored.
Main message for the youth that are looking at the play, and the communities that are looking at the plays is we can't not talk about sexual abuse, because suicide is just one form of ending the pain. We have to start looking at the pains that are in our community and start dealing with them.
If we save one life tonight, if we save one life with this play, then Chastity's death is not in vain.
Looking at the pain and starting to talk about it is a first step towards intergenerational healing. Much more than entertainment, this play is a vehicle for change.
And I want to encourage these kids that this is the end. Let's acknowledge the fact that our parents were wounded, they lost their identity, they didn't know who they were, they didn't know how to be good parents because of that. Let's acknowledge all of that and see that that's what happened, and now let's move past it.